I was out doing my bike ride again and it started raining. Okinawa has been raining a lot lately. I guess I'm gonna have to take a break. Alright, so I'm feeling a lot better. It didn't really let up the rain, but now it is. As soon as I got home, it stopped raining. But yeah, it was fine. It was fine. I brought a plastic bag just in case to put my phone and my AirPods and my shoes in. So on the way back, I was like riding without shoes because that's like the only pair of shoes I have. And I have to work tonight, so I didn't want to get it wet. So just put all of it in a bag and just kind of biked with my socks. And then I took a shower. So feeling really good. Alright, so today I thought I'd do like a talkin vloggin, a specific talkin vlogging. I don't know, some of you guys might remember this, but back in, I'm looking at it right now, 4 months ago, according to my YouTube channel, I did this video called Do I Like Living in Japan 4-month update. And we are now, we're 4 months since then, and we are now getting into October. So this month is going to be my 10th month here in Okinawa. And I kind of wanted to do an update for myself and just kind of like talk about my feelings of moving here and how I feel about being in Japan now that I've been here for almost an entire year. Still 2 months to go, but you know, pretty much like 10 months. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Moving to Japan wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I think I had this image in my head for a very long time because when I moved away from Okinawa back to the States, like I could not wait to get back. In fact, I hated living in the States, especially Sacramento, for probably like the first 3 or 4 years of my life. But the first 3 or 4 years of my life in Sacramento was like, you know, understanding how to live on my own, how to pay my own bills, how to, you know, figuring out apartments. And you know, the first year of living in California, I was going through a divorce and like, yeah, I was learning to be an adult, and that was really, really hard. And it took me about 3 or 4 years to finally get the hang of it. And then once I got the hang of it, you know, I started enjoying myself, and I started making friends outside of, you know, my ex-husband, and like just, you know, I was developing a life for myself, and but it took me about 3 or 4 years. Like I never ended up really liking Sacramento, but I loved the people in it, and I loved, you know, I got attached to certain things, and you know, it's where I became an adult. I mean, I lived my 20s to my 30s there, you know, where I go from being under my parents' roof to just learning to live on my own, and working by myself, and like, you know, because I was by myself. I didn't have family near me. All I had were my friends who became my family, but for the most part, you know, I was by myself and with nobody to rely on. And I think like, you know, the most formative years of my life was spent in Sacramento. I remember when I first moved to Sacramento from Okinawa, and all I wanted to do was come back here. I missed being here. I missed my family, like nobody's business. And so in the back of my mind, I had always imagined coming back here. I knew that I was always going to come back here. And I had, I think, in my head of like what that was going to look like. You know, I had been gone for 10 years, and then I come back, and then like I thought, let's just say, especially when it comes to family, things aren't going as I thought it would. As some of you guys know who have been on my channel for a long time know that my mom and I have, you know, we've had strained relationships when I was growing up because she was never home. I was a latchkey kid. She was always working. And I understand that, you know, like she had to put a roof over her head and she was never home. And I know it hurt her as much as it hurt me, but like it was still hard as a teenager. And I think my mom and I never really developed that closeness. And I thought coming back here after being gone for so long, I thought we could kind of rebuild that relationship. And it's there in a way, it hasn't really worked out. I feel like we're still kind of trying to find each other's rhythm, and it's been difficult. I was hoping that I would come back here and I would be able to develop this relationship with my mom that I hadn't ever been able to develop. And, you know, I think there's a part of me that came back and is coming to terms with the fact that I may never have the relationship that I want with my mom, just because of how she is and how our situation is here, which I don't really talk about too much, and I won't get into any more of it because that's kind of personal between me and her. But, you know, I mean, there's a lot of things that I thought was going to happen that didn't happen. I know Joe left a comment not too long ago about my very first video that I filmed for the beginning of this year, the vlogs and stuff, when I kickstarted the daily vlogs. And he was like, yeah, it was so weird watching you talk about all these plans and ideas that you had, and then just kind of watching you progress and coming to like this point in your life. And like he was just talking about that, and it was true. Like I remember when I made that first video, like I had so many plans of like what I wanted my life to be like and what I was planning on doing. And I thought by now for sure Matt and I would have a place of our own. I was for sure thinking Buddy would be here by now. I thought Matt and I would have been traveling a little bit more, maybe going to mainland and maybe going to Taiwan. And I thought we would be in a completely different place. But that hasn't been the case. And I think that has also been a little bit rough. You know, some of it is us not moving fast enough on certain things, but also the coronavirus hasn't helped the situation much either. And I think, you know, the biggest lessons that I've learned this year has been that you can make plans all you want, but sometimes that just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen the way you want it to happen. And you either learn to adapt with those changes. 10 months into living into Okinawa, how do I really feel about it? You know, Matt and I had this conversation yesterday. I don't really know. I think I'm having a hard time. I mean, like, if I was to be 100%, I'm having a hard time. I wouldn't call myself homesick because I don't necessarily miss Sacramento or miss America, and I don't have any ideas or thoughts or feelings of wanting to go back. Especially when when you see everything that's going on right now. Like, I don't want to go back to the States. But, you know, as I tend to view myself as a very adaptive person, but I am extremely sentimental. And there's a lot of things that I miss, like my friends and the life I built. Like, I worked so hard for, the apartment that Matt and I had, the being independent and having our dog, and just, you know, it was a hard life, but it was mine. And I worked very hard for it. And I think I miss all of that, plus being able to spend time with my friends and go rock climbing and all that kind of stuff. Like, I really miss my friends and my dog. And, you know, I have to remind myself that even if I was in the States right now, I wouldn't have that because of the virus. So, you know, it has nothing to do with Okinawa being the problem. It's just, there's a lot of things that I want to do and I can't do. You know, I think once Matt and I have a place of our own that we can call our own and have like an independent life away from my family and have our dog here and actually start exploring the world like we had hoped to, actually starting to meet people and hang out with people and make new friends, I think, and, you know, actually start building a life for ourselves here, I know it will be different. It will definitely be different. But I think a combination of just life not going the way we were hoping it would go because of the virus, and just all of that combined with how much I kind of like long and miss that old life that I had, the independence, the friends, you know, going to rock climbing every 3 times a week with Sean, Michelle, and Ariel, and just like all my friends, and then coming home and having dinner and having Buddy in the bed with us. And like I said, I'm a very adaptive person, but I'm also extraordinarily sentimental. And I think if the situation was different and Matt and I had been able to do the things we wanted to do, like travel and, you know, hang out with our friends here, like Kate and Chris, as much as we wanted, and, you know, actually building a life for ourselves here, I think I would have had an easier time adjusting back, but because of everything that's been happening around the world, it's just been a slow start, and it's been rough, especially because, like I said earlier, you know, that family dynamic that I thought I was gonna have and rebuild and just kind of make up for the years that I've been gone just hasn't worked out the way I thought it would, and the realization that it may never be that way has been really, really rough. Does this mean that I want to move back to the States? It definitely doesn't. Does it mean that I want to move somewhere else? It definitely doesn't. I think, you know, I've been through this situation before where I moved to the States from Okinawa, and it took me a few years to develop some kind of life for myself there, that I knew when I was coming back from the States to Okinawa, I had an inkling that this was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to happen as bad as it has, but I knew in some ways it was going to happen. I knew I was going to have a hard time readjusting to a new place. Because as much as this place is my home, I haven't lived here for 10 years, and a lot of my major growth happened in the States. So, you know, I think it's just a matter of patience and time. I don't necessarily hate living here. There's a lot of moments where I love it here. I love the fact that I can walk down the street at 2 o'clock in the morning and feel completely safe. I love, you know, how cheap the food is, how much Matt and I can, you know, start saving with just a part-time job, and just like, you know, like there's so many good things here. But I think it's just taking me some time to just readjust to life, and I don't think it's gonna happen. That readjustment, I don't think is gonna happen today. I don't think it's gonna happen tomorrow. It's just gonna be one of those things that I just have to be patient for. It'll happen over time, but it's just gonna take a minute. And when I got divorced in Sacramento, I had a chance to come back to Okinawa. And at the time I almost did, because of how much I hated it. I hated living in Sacramento. I had just gone through a divorce. You know, all I wanted was to come back home and just live with my mom again. But I didn't. I stayed. I made that conscious decision that if I was going to grow up, that was going to be now or never. And so I stayed. I made that conscious decision to stay and just put myself through those challenges, because I knew those challenges were going to make me grow as a person, and it did. And I had a feeling like as much as I wanted to come home, I had a feeling like I had to stay. Like my place wasn't here. It was back in the States. And I'm feeling that same feeling here. As hard as it is for me to readjust to being back here, I don't feel like I need to be anywhere else in the world but here right now. Everything I learned and developed over the years of being in the States, now it's my time to utilize whatever skill that I've learned over there and then start a new chapter here and grow and evolve here. This is where I'm supposed to be, and I can feel that within my soul. So, you know, hard doesn't necessarily mean bad. It just means it's a room for improvement and a room for growth. The transition periods are always the hardest, and that's just what it is. It's just I'm going through a transition period right now. So, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and go. I wanted to do an update, and I want to be as honest as possible about this. I could sit here and be like, oh yeah, I'm having the time of my life, and this is so great being back here. I'm so Okinawan, but that's not true. It's not. But just because like I said, just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not going to get better. Transitions are always the hardest. All right. Well, oh, by the way, I only realized this because I went on my Facebook today and I went through the memories, but today's October 1st, which means it's September 30th in the States, and it's Matt and I's 9th anniversary. I totally forgot about it. We both did. I don't think we're planning anything, but we've been married since February of this year. Like as a couple, we've only been together for a few months, or married for a few months, but we've been together for 9 years as of today, which is insane. So yeah, happy anniversary, babe. He's watching something. Alright, I love you guys so much. Thank you for letting me have this talk and vloggin. I will see you guys in tomorrow's episode. Love you. Peace. Bye.